We're back monitoring developments ahead the November 11 off-cycle governorship elections. You can join the conversation right now on X, formerly Twitter, using the hashtag Beyond100Days. Remember to mention at TVC News NG. In less than 48 hours, voters in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa will be making the decision of who becomes the next governor of their states. In Bayelsa State, Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the Department of Information and Communication Technology, Daniel Sokari Pedro, has assured residents the election will be peaceful, although he noted that 5 of the 8 local government areas are flashpoints. At a stakeholders meeting in Yenagoa, the DIG stated that in spite of the volatility of these local government areas, the police is committed to a free, fair, and credible election.
To advise those who sponsor you to violence, to tell your children to take your places, and to be ready to bear the consequences thereafter. Let me sound a note of warning here. Unlike before, where electoral offenses were taken with levity, an act or omission committed during, in fact, before, during and after the election can constitute both an electoral offense as well as a crime. Therefore, after facing prosecution for electoral offense, we may equally charge.
The police is also speaking tough in Imo State, where Deputy Inspector General of Police Frank Mba has unveiled the different models of trucks for security logistics during this election. DIG Mba stated that the security trucks would be deployed along with thousands of combat-ready men to the various voting areas to give assurance to voters that their votes indeed will count. The security team for the off-cycle election in Imo is made up of a joint security personnel of the police, the military, as well as other agencies.
Remember, this is not the first election we are conducting. We've come a long way conducting elections in this country. We've provided security for a series of elections in this country, starting from 1999. So there's a generation of police officers who have known nothing. In fact, there are a generation of police officers today who never witnessed the military rule in this country. And all they know is democratic.
In Kogi State, the Deputy Inspector General of Police Force Intelligence, Habu Sani, has appealed to senior police officers posted to Kogi for election to protect the integrity of the force by performing their duty without any form of bias. He made the statement while addressing Assistant Inspector General of Police, Commissioner of Police, Deputy Commissioners of Police, and Assistant Commissioners of Police at the State Command Headquarters.
48 hours to the election in Kogi State, and the Nigerian police is yet for the show of force.
We'll bring you details of that story subsequently. Let's talk to our correspondent in Lokoja, Femi Akande, who's been monitoring developments in Kogi. Femi, Kogi has been notorious for violence in recent elections. What are the security agencies doing differently this time?
Oh, hi, Femi. Well, this time the security agencies have carried out a threat level assessment predicated upon the prevailing security situation here in Kogi State. They have mapped out their strategy based on the report of this threat level assessment, and that has also informed the kind of deployment that they have done here in Kogi State, the kind of the number of personnel and equipment that they have deployed across the state to ensure that the ballot is secured. And also over time, police officers have been made to go through different kinds of capacity building trainings that would also teach and equip them on how to behave and carry out their duties and responsibilities during elections. And that is what we expect to see manifest on election day, and even with a few hours leading to the election, we also expect that they are also expected to keep the state safe, ensure that that is moved up to election day and even the post-election period. And we already hear the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the North Central Zone talking tough. He has met with his men who will be supervising the deployment and the security situation across the state to ensure that they maintain professionalism during this all-important governorship election in Kogi State. Nifemi.
We understand there are 40,000 police personnel deployed to Kogi for this election. When you walk around the state capital, Femi, what's the feeling you're getting? Is it that of apprehension, or you think the people are upbeat for this exercise?
Well, the people are eagerly awaiting this election. They have seen political parties and politicians go around the state to campaign. We have also seen tension build up over this whole election. And we have seen a massive presence of security agencies across the state on the streets. We have seen checkpoints at some strategic locations. We have also seen the police helicopter hover around the state capital. So, you know, all of this has also given the people in the state that assurance that indeed security for this election will be watertight. And they just hope that just as they have seen the security agencies show their level of preparedness on election day, they would also hope that nothing goes wrong, that they will be able to come out to exercise their franchise safely without any threat to their lives. Nifemi.
Is the police leadership also speaking to the need to rein in on the numbers, ensure that the electorate are not overwhelmed, you know, by the number, and also ensure that this doesn't contribute in any way to voter apathy on Saturday?
If I please repeat that question.
I'm asking if the police leadership is concerned about the idea of over-militarizing this process and such that the electorate aren't scared about the numbers when you consider that 40,000 policemen are deployed to Kogi.
What the police is saying is that these are heavy deployment we have seen is not to scare the voters. It is to give them, to guarantee their safety, to make them rest assured that they can come out and exercise their franchise, come out to cast their ballot without fear of getting attacked or fear of any threats to their life or their property whatsoever. I know, as they say, the police is your friend, and they are trying to ensure that they let the people know that indeed the police that will be on duty on election day will be friendly and professional.
How are the police, rather the political stakeholders reacting to the efforts of security operatives in this regard? You know, we talked about protests here at the police headquarters in Abuja from some of them who are quite concerned about security development in Kogi State.
Femi, I didn't get the last part.
Femi, I'm asking if political stakeholders are quite pleased with the security arrangement by the police in the days leading to this election. Femi, I'm asking if political stakeholders are pleased with the arrangement, the police arrangement for this election. We'll get back to Femi in the course of the program, but let's bring you up to speed with developments within the police rank as to what their plans really are in that part of the country.
"48 hours to the election in Kogi State, and the Nigerian police is yet for the show of force. The DIG in charge of the state used the opportunity to brief the officers on what is expected during and after the election. The Deputy Inspector General of Police, while addressing officers, says the integrity of the force is important as Nigerians are looking forward to how they will conduct themselves.
Our role as security officers has been embedded into that, and we have equally supported that with the standard operational procedures and guidelines for the conduct of every police officer and other security agencies that would participate in this election. My call to every officer and men of the police and other security agencies is to strictly adhere to these electoral laws and the standard operation procedures and guidelines for the operations of this election.
The DIG also warned hoodlums planning to disrupt the election that the force will decisively deal with them.
And any person that will want to test our capacity and ability in the smooth conduct of the election, you know the various powers you have that is lawfully embedded in our various statutes and the electoral law to deal with that type of situation.
The residents of Kogi State, the DIG appealed to them to conduct themselves appropriately and vote for the candidate of their choice without being bullied to do so.
So I'm calling on the good people of Kogi State to be law-abiding and be supportive to the security agencies in order to discharge their mandate for a peaceful, free and fair and acceptable election in this country, or in this state.
While addressing police officers, a coalition of civil society groups gathered in front of the Kogi State Police Command to appeal to the security agencies to be neutral and avoid any violence during the election.
So to protect lives and properties,
They also appealed to the residents of the state not to sell their vote and also come out en masse to perform their civic duty on election day. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News, Lokoja, Kogi State.
While in Imo State, the number is quite different. The police is saying they have deployed 24,565 security personnel, and that's just for the police alone. You add that up to other security outfits expected to participate in this election, and then the number might also go as high as 40, just like we reported in Kogi State. There are questions about the need to ensure that the electorate in this off-cycle election aren't scared by the heavy presence of police. But you also need to bear in mind that there are lots happening in all of these states as regards security. Our correspondent in Imo, Solomon Ajuziogu, joins me right now. You spoke earlier with DIG Umba. Walk us through what preparation looks like on the part of the police. Solomon, what's preparation like on the part of the police ahead of the election in Imo State? Well, we'll return to Solomon subsequently. In Bayelsa State, 15 candidates, we understand, are jostling for the office of Mr. Governor. But the incumbent governor himself, Doyediri, is also seeking a second term in office. Interesting developments across the three states that we're monitoring very closely. It's important, however, that all of the stakeholders in this election consider this a litmus test to how much lesson has been learned from the presidential election that held in February and the governorship election that followed in March. INEC is promising that it's indeed learned its lessons, and we're looking forward to how much of that we'll see in the quality of elections that will hold this Saturday. In Bayelsa, for instance, we are hearing that the peace accord, unlike the way it went in Kogi State, where many of the top candidates didn't come, the APC and the PDP candidates were at the peace accord signing yesterday, and we saw Mr. Governor and the APC candidate hug each other. But just right after that event, they were also disagreed as to the allegations of violence that have been peddled against each other. Let's return to Imo State now, where correspondent Solomon Ajuziogu is standing by. Solomon, talk more to us about police preparation ahead of this election.
Well, today, DIG Frank Mba, the officer in charge of the special election security in Imo State, unveiled the trucks for security logistics for the Imo election. And he made us understand that this is not all of it. More than 80 trucks of different kinds, different models for different purposes, some of them gun trucks, some of them armored personnel carriers, and all of them were unveiled today, and they are being deployed to all the various polling areas across the state. He specifically informed us of the total number of police officers, all kinds of police officers, SWAT team, anti-terrorism squad, all of them that will be part of providing security for the elections in Imo State.
Is the police leadership concerned about what some already term over militarizing the process, and what are they doing about it?
Well, that is one side of the story, basically. But then there's the other side of the story, where everywhere you turn to here, there seems to be some reservations about security situation. Some of the people are afraid. Sometimes when you try to talk to people on the street, they don't want their faces to be shown on camera. They have one thing or the other to say, but they do not want to say it on camera. So, so you could see a bit of fear. And so the candidates, the police, the army are trying to reassure the people that if there is any security concern, if the people are afraid, if it's about hoodlums and hooligans and thugs and, okay, or maybe some bandits or outlawed groups, that the Nigerian security forces can actually provide higher proportion of personnel and ammunition.
All right, let's get back to Kogi, where Femi Akande is standing by. Femi, what's the update with the many calls about, redeploying the leadership of INEC? And even we heard this morning that there are calls to have the Commissioner of Police in Kogi State redeployed before this election.
Yes, Femi, well, we've been hearing all of these calls made by some political parties or people with certain political interest in Kogi State. All of these are not new. In election seasons, we hear this kind of calls, accusations, and counter-accusations made by politicians and political parties. You know, everyone's the situation to just go in their own way. But it's left for INEC, the police, and other critical stakeholders who are in charge of conducting and organizing this electoral process, well, to try and ensure that they remain focused and their men discharge their responsibility professionally. You know, we've had all of this, not just in Kogi State, even in Imo State, there are several calls to also redeploy the resident electoral commissioner in that state there. You know, but this are just, how do I put it, these are some of the these are some of the kind of things that happen during politicking and this political season.
Let's hear from Solomon if he has an update for us in that regard. How is INEC responding to calls from some quarters to have the resident electoral commissioner redeployed?
Well, INEC is standing its ground, as you say, they are digging deep. If there's going to be a change of the rec, I don't know if that can happen now. Some of the political parties, but not all of the political parties, are calling for the removal of the rec here. But INEC is saying they will not redeploy her, they will not remove her, she will get the job done. Whatever mistrust they have, some of the military, the police are saying we will ensure that there is no hanky-panky. The people should come out and vote, and that they will give them all of the security and safety they require to come out, cast their votes, and make the votes count. As it is at the moment, INEC is digging deep and saying and standing its ground that the rec will not be removed.
I'm sure you're following developments with NLC and TUC with strike in Imo. As we speak, they shut down the airport in Abuja. How is that affecting the distribution of materials for INEC, and how much impact do you see it have on the conduct of this election?
Well, generally in Imo, there is divided interest about about the NLC in Imo. People are going about their duties here. Well, you will not need an airport to distribute sensitive materials in Imo. It's interstate. They have moved most of these things by road, heavily secured by the military and the police here. That will not be affecting so much, except the issue of power. Power has also affected our own job here today. We had to try to look for how we were going to edit our stories and send them and all of that. It's affecting almost everything here. People are complaining about the power situation. That is where it's hitting the hardest, and we hope that it does not affect the power of the beavers machines or the electronic devices that will be required on election day. We hope that INEC would have taken care of this, because they've had a bit of time to prepare for this. Apart from that, I think that every other thing seems to be going on well, except the reasonable worry about the security situation, which the police, the army, and the other security agencies have been trying to reassure the residents of Imo. Of course, the political parties as well are saying their bit and assuring the voters that, look, we have the hand. We agreed to having the deployment of security men heavily armed so that this election would eventually go ahead and hold and be successful.
Let's turn to Lokoja, where Femi is. I believe that the distribution of sensitive materials already begun in that part of the country under the supervision of critical stakeholders. How did that go, and what do we expect to happen with the electoral umpire in the next 24 hours, Femi?
Well, if that went smooth, it was a smooth exercise. We saw the stakeholders, political parties, representatives, we saw members of the civil society organization, and indeed security and the electoral officials themselves monitoring and supervising that whole exercise, because, you know, it's a very critical stage in the electoral process where if anything goes wrong at that stage, if a particular ballot paper or a particular election material goes to a wrong local government or a wrong polling unit, it's going to mar the entire process. So everyone watched closely with keen interest, meticulously, to ensure that, well, nothing went wrong during that exercise. And it has been escorted to the local government areas in Kogi State, where they will also be received by the electoral officials and indeed representatives of political parties again at the local government levels, who will again do the sharing and the redeployment to different wards and polling units in the state. But all of the done under heavy security to ensure that these election materials, the sensitive election materials, are protected and nothing happens to them. Femi.
Gentlemen, political campaigns are expected to end today, or rather tonight, as we count down to Saturday. Keep an eye on what's happening in your states, and we'll be back with you for more updates. Solomon Ajuziogu live for us in Owerri and Femi Akande live in Lokoja. Thank you for talking to us.